On today's episode of Drummers Eating Pizza, John sits down with Matt Penza to discuss his South Shore Bar pizza recipe, his start in music, and his current bands, Fear Nuttin Band and Garden Grove. Stay tuned until the end to see some clips of Matt playing drums in the studio. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And now, episode 1 of Drummers Eating Pizza.
All right, welcome everybody to episode 1 of Drummers Eating Pizza. We've got the amazing Matt Penza.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, guest number 1. The first one I said, you know, he's done the logos. We're going to talk about his graphic design stuff. He's done some drum logos for me. I had a question about Drummers Eating Pizza and brought it up to him, and you were like, hell yeah, I'm going to do it.
Of course.
Which is everyone's answer, but you were the first one that I went to. So today, Matt actually made the pizzas. We're going to take a look at those. So tell us about the bar pizzas that you make.
All right. Well, it's just a unique style to the south end of Massachusetts and the eastern half, like south of Boston, Brockton, Cape Cod area, from like the 50s or either the 30s or the 50s. Like it's foggy because everyone kind of fights as to who came up with the idea initially, but. This is more of, it's a smaller pizza. It's about 10 inches. The cheese on there is all cheddar instead of mozzarella.
Ah,
so that's a big difference. The sauce may be a little bit different. You make the sauce right before you put it on, so you don't actually you don't cook the sauce. It cooks on the pizza. And then the dough's a little bit different too. It's a little crispier, crunchier. It's not like your Neapolitan kind of crust.
Now, you make the dough like from scratch?
Everything on the pizza is made from scratch. The dough. You even shred the cheese yourself, because if you get the processed cheese, it's pre-shredded. It burns when you cook it.
All right.
Little note.
This is good. This is good, because usually I make pizzas with Big Y dough.
Yeah.
And it comes out all right.
Yeah, they're good. I like Big Y.
I worked at pizza places, but I was like, you know, in high school, college, wasn't paying attention. They just said, mix this together. You fold these into, 6-ounce dough balls, and then I did a Greek pizza place, so we pre-cooked the stuff, and then I did Italian style places where it was just the dough, and then you made everything to order.
Oh, nice.
So bar style pizza. So we've got a cheese and we got a chicken and broccoli.
Yeah, that's the first time I made that variation. Chicken, broccoli, and garlic. So it's marinated chicken, like cheddar cheese. Deliciousness.
We're gonna try it.
I'm gonna have to dig in.
All right, what do you want?
I gotta try the cheese slice first, because that's like the measure of a good pizza. I'll know if that one's gonna be good, if this one's good.
All right, we're gonna start with that. So this is the bar style.
South Shore bar style.
South Shore.
That's like
bar style.
SS. There's like a Facebook page dedicated to this. There's a group. There's people that are like fanatics over this exact style.
So, if you go to a pizza restaurant, will they have this, or is this like it's only in bars? Like it's specific
It's not even specifically in bars. I don't know why they gave it that name. It just resonated, so they kept it. But like no, there's only a handful of places in Mass you can go to get it.
Yeah.
There's nothing out this way at all. So that's why I had to learn how to make them.
I'm interested because this looks delicious, and when I think of pizza being from Western Mass, I think of Family Pizza or Pasquale's, thick,
Red Rose.
Thick dough. So when Dave Portnoy came to Red Rose, he's like, I don't know how to describe this pizza. And to me, I'm like, well, this is what pizza's supposed to be.
Yeah, this is like a New York slice, like the original.
So for me, this was part of doing the show, was I want to try different pizzas and figure out, like, why do people is New York, why do New Yorkers say that this is the best? Why do you think this is the best? Why does somebody from Detroit say that Detroit's the best? Or
I got to try
Chicago?
that one. I haven't tried the Detroit, the sauce on top.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
so yeah, this is.
Try this.
So it's much crunchier. It's more of like a biscuity.
Yeah. Thin. Mm-hmm. It's thin crust. I don't know that you can see this, but it's thin. Definitely the cheese, you can taste the cheddar rather than mozzarella. So one of the places I worked at before, it was probably 2/3 mozzarella and a quarter, or like a third cheddar. So I remember having to mix that in, and that was the first time I'd ever mixed in cheeses.
Yeah, this is exact opposite of that, where it's like about 20% mozzarella.
Yeah. No, I like it.
Just enough in there.
Yep. And sauce-wise, do you think that there's a difference with the sauce?
I'm not exactly sure. I've never made my own pizza sauce from scratch other than this style. Same with the crust, so I don't know the difference in ingredients, but these are made specifically with the San Marzano tomatoes.
Yep.
And then, I don't know, I guess that's the key to it. I got the recipe off of this group that I was talking about.
I was going to say, where did you get the recipe? Was this somebody that in your family made it, or no, you got it off?
No, this is actually, his name is Todd Zilla.
Okay.
So I think he's a drummer too, but he worked at a few of the different restaurants out east. I keep saying out east. Eastern Mass.
Yep.
Following up my words. He worked at a bunch of the different restaurants, and then he ended up moving to Colorado, and nobody out there had anything like it. So he decided to take those recipes and start doing it himself. He actually has a food truck it's called Wholehearted. I'm gonna mess this up. It's supposed to read like Mass Whole Pizza.
Yep.
But he spelled the whole thing out, so it's like Wholeheartedly Massachusetts Pizza or something.
Yep.
Anyways, he has a food truck that specifically makes pizza.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Which is the food truck thing is so huge now with all the breweries that opened up, didn't have licenses or kitchens. So now it's every time you go somewhere, they're doing the food trucks, which I think is great. And I think pizza food trucks are huge.
Absolutely.
Maybe that'll be my next venture is
food trucks.
drummers making pizza and food trucks.
Drummers and food trucks making whatever they want.
All right, so that's half a piece. Now I gotta try the chicken and broccoli because this is
try a little piece.
This is the stuff, folks. If you've never had chicken and broccoli, it's my favorite type of pizza. So, I don't remember when I worked at a pizza place, the owner said we have to try chicken and broccoli, and I'm like, you're crazy. That's gonna taste disgusting. And I was like, this is great, and nobody made it except for him for the most part in the area, and there was a couple other places, and now it seems like it's pretty standard with what you can get. And I remember growing up only having, when you would go to a pizza place, you know, you had maybe 5 different combinations of stuff
It was
that
like,
you could get.
Pepperoni, sausage, mushroom, and onion, or the combo of all those things.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was it, right? Now you go to any pizza place online and there's 50 different know, options. Half the time I'm like, I don't remember which ones I've gotten and which ones were good. I start running out of ideas of what I can get for pizza.
Yeah, what kind of crust, what kind of topping, gourmet style.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I dove into mine right before you did yours. So that's the
No,
first
this
time I've
is-
had this combination.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah. I hated vegetables. And the owner of the pizza place, so it was Gino's Pizza in West Suffield, kind of out by like Lake Congamon.
Okay.
It's like the back part as you're going into Suffield.
Yep.
Ebb's Corner. They made that, and when I worked there, I was in college, and he would say, we're having pizza today for lunch. The owner would cook a pizza. And he's like, we're not eating freaking pepperoni pizza again, dude. We're eating something else. So he made chicken and broccoli, and that's when I started liking vegetables. I hated broccoli. I hated peppers.
See,
I
the
hated
pizza
onions.
has united
Yes.
everything together.
Yes. So parents, if you can't get your kids to eat vegetables, put them on pizza, and maybe that will, I don't know, get them to eat. Look at my kid's behind the camera, and he's just shaking his head no. He likes cheese pizza, and that's it. It works, dude. I'm going to fool you. I'm going to, like, grind it up and put it in there. All right, so.
You could do the cauliflower crust.
Cauliflower's all right. All right, so we also have some beer. I'm going to start with one of these. And I'll probably only have one.
Yeah.
Because I'm a cheap date.
I'm also a cheap date.
So, Matt and I both in college played in ska bands. So this is 2 weeks notice. The session that I get, session IPA. See if I can zoom in a little bit on it. I'm trying to do this. So it's basically the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones. Their albums were always usually like plaid covered.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is kind of a tribute to our ska days. Trying this.
Are we supposed to skank right now while we're opening this?
Well, it's a family show.
Ha, hoo, hey. Cheers.
Yeah, that's all right.
It's tasty.
I'm not a huge IPA guy, but I could drink this.
Yeah, this is nice because it's like a session, so it's not like gonna knock your socks off, but it's still got a lot of the flavor in there.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 weeks notice makes a good beer.
All right, so now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty
Uh-oh.
of I'm doing this show because drummers get stuck in the back. We get a drum riser. Nobody wants to interview the drummers. Everybody wants to interview the lead singer, the guitar player. The drummer gets stuck on stage. Occasionally we get a drum solo, and, you know, for the most part, nobody cares. But, you know, if you don't have a good drummer, your band sucks. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
True story. Very true.
So, I got my list of questions.
Uh-oh.
So,
It's going to get
all right,
serious
so,
now,
oh, no,
folks.
it's not going to get too serious. But I'd like to get people's backstory on, because I know for me, I always think, oh, I'm going to write a biography someday that no one's going to read. But I always, when I watch biographies and documentaries and stuff, I like to hear, like, from when they were, like, little. So,
Yeah,
question one, like, what's your first musical memory that you remember? Whether it's, you know, somebody in the house playing music or something, you know, whatever you remember first as a kid as a memory of music.
Well, going way back, I think maybe first or second grade or something, was it Quiet Riot came up with their tape around then.
Yeah.
Bang Your Head, Metal
Yeah.
Health. So I thought that was the coolest thing
Coolest
ever.
cover.
So I'm like, all right, I got to be in a band so I can like get this mask or whatever. You know, I thought this
Yeah.
was the coolest thing ever. So we put together a band with a couple of kids in the neighborhood. We all painted our faces up and like set up a little makeshift stage and had the kids pay 10 cents to come watch us lip sync to Quiet Riot.
Yeah. Nice.
Twisted Sister.
Yep.
So that was like the first thing when I was like, yeah, I'm in a band. This is
That was
awesome. You know?
that's like the first musical thing that you were like, okay, this is
Like I'm a part of this
Yeah.
band, you know.
Yeah.
It was exciting.
nice. So question two, what pulled you towards the drums rather than an other instrument? Was it the Quiet Riot album? Was it, you know, what, you know, most musicians get pulled to a certain instrument at some point. No, did you start on drums or did you start on another instrument? It was always drums.
Always drums, always drums. I think for Christmas I got one of those little practice pad electronic drums.
Yep.
It was the Yamaha DD5.
Nice.
Came with the tiny little
Yep.
drumsticks,
Oh, yeah.
but like, you know, you could get all the different styles of beats on there. So I tried to play on that, and then you know that kind of went away. But as a kid, I always loved hip hop. So it was like Tone Loc, whatever back in the day, like Beastie Boys, LL Cool J. I loved all that. So I was like caught between, do I want to be a drummer in a rock band or do I want to be like a DJ? You know, like
Yeah.
I just want to get people dancing. So I'm like, if I play the beat, that's gonna make people dance. So I was like, drums is it.
Drums is it.
Yeah, that was it.
Nice.
But I've always wanted to play the guitar, which I've never been able to pick up.
Yep. I started on violin in third grade, but I remember the third grade teacher saying, oh, this person's going to come in and talk about stringed instruments. And I just remember I didn't want to play violin, but I was like, I can play a musical instrument. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It was the first, like, when I could
It was
do
like
something.
your foot in the door.
Yeah,
like, I'm
yeah.
a
I was like, I
musician
want to
now.
do this, so I'm going to start here and see what happens.
That's awesome.
Awesome. So, next question is the light bulb moment of this is what I want to do. Whether, I mean, because when we're all kids, we think we're going to be rock stars.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way it is.
Yep. As soon as you join a band, you're famous. You
What
know?
was that like key moment of this is it? Like this is what I want to do. Was it the Quiet Riot thing, or was it?
No, I mean, that was just like, no.
That was just the kind of the foot in the door.
That was just kind of
Yeah.
the inspiration as a kid. You
Yeah.
see these big rock stars and you're like, I got to do that, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know. I always felt like music is where I fit in, like where I actually belonged. I played sports, I did different things in high school, but like nothing really made sense more than music did. Like in the
Yeah.
instant community feeling with other musicians. Like, you know, when you travel around, you've been on tour, like you bump into other people in bands, you kind of, the ice is kind of already broken.
Yeah.
Because you feel like a certain, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I just felt a connection through music with other people. So I feel like I was like, all right, this is it for me. I need to be part of this
Yeah.
brotherhood or whatever. Not even brotherhood, because plenty of good sisters out there too.
Yep. Yep. So, how did you end up in like doing ska stuff? Was it something you were into, or
Nope.
was it?
No.
Is it so? Matt played in Shoeless Joe, right?
Yeah.
The infamous Shoeless Joe.
Shoeless Joe. Then there was another band called Shoeless Joe, so we decided we had to change it up a ton and become the infamous Shoeless Joe,
Yep.
which didn't work either. So then we had to change it again.
Yeah. So that was when you were at Westfield State.
Westfield State, right?
Right? Okay. So
Yeah.
how did you get into the ska world? What was the?
I didn't even know what ska was.
Yep.
I had never heard of ska in my life, high school, nothing. I wanted to be able to play my drums at college somehow.
Yep.
So I first figure out what ska was, and then listen to a bunch of it.
And figure out how to play it.
Yeah, and I never really did. I kind of just did my own version of whatever I thought it was.
Yep. When I was in that band SMA, we
Yeah.
had the original drummer was Brian Cleland. So he owns Richard's Grinders, and he was going to college, and I think he had a scholarship for golf.
Oh, wow.
So he was like, listen, man, I got to work, and I
stuff to
can't
do.
do it. Do you want to do it? Because I was playing percussion at the time. So I filled in, and the first rehearsal at my parents' house, I was like, oh, I'm fired. I'm like, I didn't really know how to play it, and I was trying to play it the way that Brian played it, and he had his own funky ska thing going, and I couldn't play the way that he was playing.
Yeah.
So I remember, Bob Stone, who was the guitar player, saying, you just got to figure out, like, play it the way that you want to play the song. And after that, like, the next rehearsal went better, and then I started listening to more ska listening to the drum
Yeah,
parts.
you started internalizing it.
And you start feeling it. But if you haven't checked out ska, it's basically a fast reggae per se.
Yeah, actually, it preceded reggae.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like
So I mean, ska
ska.
was like the first thing, and then
Yep.
you had, reggae kind of came after it.
Skia.
So you had a chance, we were talking about earlier, to play with Cooley, and did you play with Vinny as well?
No, it was
it was just Cooley?
different incarnation. This was kind of like after the Pilfords had taken a break, or they were doing different things. Cooley was not trying to. He was doing his own side project. He had some original tunes, and he asked us to come join him, back him up.
Very cool.
So yeah.
So going from that, so the Pilfers, another ska band. It was a band called the Toasters, who I believe are still playing.
Oh yeah.
And Bim Scala Bim, who they broke up, but I think they do occasional, like they do like a reunion type of
Yeah,
thing.
I believe so.
So-
Probably more in the Boston area or
Yeah.
like New York.
Yeah. So Cooley was amazing singer, frontman, one of the best in that world of, if you're talking ska, I don't know that there's a better frontman than Cooley.
Yeah,
He was just always the coolest guy. I mean, clearly that's where the name must have come from, but.
Right. Well, yeah, he was the toaster, I guess you could call it, which was ironic to be in the band The Toasters. But
Yeah.
at that time, that like fast-paced Jamaican gritty voicing was like really what he had going for him. So he's like the chatter, the toaster.
Yep.
So Cooley Ranks was like the man for a little while there.
So you did your ska thing, and you played with Chris Regan.
Yeah.
And how did Fear Nuttin Band come about? Because when that came out, I mean, the only other band I had ever heard do anything like that was Skindred.
Oh right, yeah, they're
But
pretty similar.
nobody was doing. So Fear Nuttin Band was like a combination of ska, metal, and I had never heard anything like it, and I was like, "Holy crap! Like this is things come around that are unique." You hear
Yeah.
a band and you're like, nobody else is doing that, and I was like, "This is cool." I got to check these guys out. How did that end up forming off of Shoeless Joe, I guess, or what was the timeline for that?
Well, Shoeless Joe, we played all through college, and then maybe like a year after college, and then it kind of had just started running its course. And oddly enough, the same day that our singer Justin was going to tell us he was leaving the band, we had two singers coming to jam with us that day just for fun to see if they could like do a show with us or something. And it happened to be Rusa and Prowler. So the same day our singer quit, those guys were there, and we were just like, all right, let's pick up the pieces and see what we can make out of this. And when we were in college, we were huge into reggae dance hall, like Capleton, Buju Banton, Sizzla, all that stuff, which is that real rough, like like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like Cooley Ranks, but even tougher. You know, like that real like gritty voice, like would you want to, you know, like coming that fast like flow. So we love that, and we also love stuff like Pantera, Deftones, all that. So I'm like, those two almost kind of fit together because of the aggressiveness of the way that these guys were flowing lyrically, plus the heavy guitars. So like, if we could put this together, that would be cool, you know. So that kind of sparked the idea. But it just the timing worked out great too. So we already had that background in the music, but those guys came along and they were all about it because they wanted to try something different too. Not just the straight reggae stuff. It's cool.
And then you guys did the Bodog music festival. It wasn't a festival, it was a competition.
It was a competition, right? Yeah, that came a few years into the band. We saw this competition. You could win a $1 million recording deal. And we thought it was crap, of course. We're like, let's sign up for it. We'll do a couple gigs, whatever. We ended up winning the whole Boston area one, so that was our ticket in, and then it was a great experience. We got to hang out at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for about 3 days, and then we took this incredible journey across the United States in a tour bus.
All right. So next question: what, as a musician, has been your Zen moment of like? The stars aligned, you're on stage, it's an outdoor festival type of thing, and you're just like, does not get any better than this. This is what I was meant to do, or this, if I die right now, I'm going to be a happy man. What, I mean, maybe you have a couple moments, but is there a moment that sticks out to you?
There's been a few, but I think the first time we played in front of just like a massive audience, like just a sea of people. It was at the Warped Tour. We were actually, we did the Warped Tour the whole summer, but the Morgan Heritage, you ever heard of them?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Reggae band. Actually, rest in peace to Peter Morgan, who just passed away. Last week, I believe, unfortunately.
I've talked to Kelly B. I don't know if you ever met Kelly. She's a trumpet player. She's from Agawam, but she did a lot of Hot Like Fire.
Oh, yeah.
She played with that band, and now she's down in Florida playing stuff, but she played with that band, and they just did one of the big reggae festivals in Jamaica. So I found out when she had posted that.
Yeah, if you don't know who Morgan Heritage is, they're from Springfield, and they were basically world famous reggae band. So look them up. So anyways, they were playing the Warped Tour that year too, and their bus broke down or whatever that day. So we got their spot. So we were on the big stage. I forget who was playing, but usually like when one band finishes at the Warped Tour, the next one goes right there. So like this massive sea of people just look this way. So all of a sudden we're on stage setting up, you know, it's like the band stops and you just see this sea of people turn at you. We were just like, here we go. And we played a great set, and that was the most important part. But play a good set in front of something like that. That's
what did you estimate, like how many people were there?
I mean, thousands. I don't know exactly how many at that point, but maybe 5,000 people or something. I couldn't see the end of the crowd. So it was like, to me, I'm like, that's a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, if you've been to a bar and you've been in a packed bar, there was maybe 200 people, and it seems like there's a sea of people. So multiply that, you know, by whatever. When they talk about musicians, when you're on stage and you can only see the first couple rows because of the lights, it's true. Normally you can't see that far, but then occasionally they'll turn the lights off and give you the crowd lights, and you look out and you realize how many people are out there sometimes. And that, it can be a crazy moment. So that was, like any other moments stick out where you were like, wow, this is awesome.
Actually, with Shoeless Joe, there was a moment. We got to fill in for the Pilfers at Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. They had to cancel, and they were opening up for Real Big Fish. So it was a big show. We got to open that, and that place was mobbed. And they gave us the rock star treatment. They turned the lights on. People were screaming, you know. And we killed it that night. We really had a good show that night. And that was like one of the first times I got a glimpse of it, you know. But yeah, that's the other one.
Awesome. How about best concert you've ever seen?
Oh, man. That's a good question. Seen a lot. Steel Pulse. I saw Steel Pulse live at the Harbor Lights Pavilion in Boston. Best sound I've ever heard in my life. They were the tightest band I've ever seen or heard in my life at that point, and they were just so on point. If you, I don't know if you know, obviously. Yeah, that was a great show. It was just everything about it, the musicianship, the drummer everything was so incredibly tight. That's all I can remember is how tight they played and how good it sounded.
Yep.
But yeah, that was one of the best ones.
And why don't you tell us about what current things you're doing, gig-wise, bands that you're playing in, projects you're working on?
Right now, I'm not too much. I'm playing with a band called Garden Grove. We're a Sublime tribute band. We play a couple gigs here and there. But that's pretty much my main thing right now. Just I fill in for I play with Fear Nuttin bands still when there are gigs, but that's kind of once in a while. It's kind of more like a fun thing for the guys to do.
Yeah. Are there any plans to do more, or it's just kind of whatever when gigs come in?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just kind of when we're feeling playing, when everyone's available. Everyone's a dad now, or multiple dads, multiple kids. So it's tougher as we get older. But yeah, there's nothing ruling out another show. Hopefully.
Awesome. I will put all of the links for everything he's doing. So we talked earlier about Matt does graphic design. He's done, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 different logos for different bands and stuff. How did graphic design come into your, because clearly we're not all rock stars, people. We in our heads we are, but most of us unfortunately have to have day jobs. But how did the graphic design thing come along? Was that something you were always into, or?
I've always been into art. I love to draw. I was an art major at Westfield, so I think it was more just a necessity thing. I'm like, I really like art. I want to do something with art, and I figured that graphic design was a way to at least remain somewhat creative and be able to incorporate art into my job. So that's plus drums don't pay the bills. So.
Well,
not always.
Not always.
Some do.
Yeah. So I'm going to put his links up for this. If you guys are looking for logo stuff, whether it's an email or a website, whatever, that we'll put up the easiest way to get in contact with you. I constantly am sending him, can you tweak this? Can you tweak that? And he's never told me to like F off or anything yet. Maybe he's doing it at home behind the scenes. Because as I'm sure like that's part of the job is people want something a certain way and you're constantly tweaking things. I guess it's the same way as being a musician in the studio.
Yep.
So can you just do this different or do that different?
Yeah, you come in with the foundation of what you think you'll fit and work. You like, I outline this for you. It's like you're playing the basic beat for you. Here you go. Yeah. You're like, no, let's make a change to this logo. It's like, can you do a fill here? Can you change this up? Play a little faster, play a little slower. It's very similar, Yep. You're molding the clay.
And then the last question that I have before we go into my studio, Matt's going to play. I'm going to try to get as many drummers to play before they leave. When I do the road trips to New York and some of the other places I'm going, I don't know that we'll have a drum set up. But when people come here to the studio, I'm going to make them play or they can't leave. I saw this on another show, and I thought it was a cool thing of a question of words of wisdom. Because you're what? I'm 40. I'm going to be 48. You got to be close to. You're probably a year or two older, right?
I'm 46.
46. So you're younger.
Yeah.
I thought you were older than me. Because I'm trying to think. I thought when I was in high school, I thought you were already at Westfield State.
No,
so it must have been
1996.
Okay, so I went into college in '95. So wow, so I'm older. Okay. So in your 46 years, what have you found just about life? Like, everybody has a different spin on, the way that they view things. And, I was actually The Sessions. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. With it was Dom Famulera.
Yes.
And he, then they do different musicians and everything. But he always says, "What can you leave the younger generation?" So, what if people are watching this? I like to get people's outlooks on whether it's the world or just something. Don't piss into the wind. That could be words. That could be words of wisdom. But leave us with something that doesn't have to be, a saying. But like, what have you seen when you look and say, okay, this is what life is about?
I would say the one thing I've learned is you have to relax. Relax, honestly. Like, there's so much going on. We put so much pressure on ourselves. We're always tense. We're always trying to get to the next thing, make more money. I think the most important thing to do is stop and relax. When you play drums and you're relaxed, you're going to play your best. When you're doing anything, if you're relaxed, the best part of you is going to come out. That's what I would say.
I agree with
Relax.
that wholeheartedly. So, folks, this is episode 1, the interview portion. Matt's going to play. That's going to be the outro for everything. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, all the stuff, just so more people get at this. And if you have suggestions for drummers, I've got a whole list for season 1. Season 2, I'm starting a list for. But, please send me an email or put it in the comments. Matt.
Hey, I just want to say thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate even being thought of as a
Listen, I don't think anybody else is going to make pizza. So for guest 1 to bring in pizza.
It's my pleasure to bring the South Shore Bar Pizza out to Western Mass. So my pleasure. I hope you like it.
Oh, it's great. You're not leaving with the leftovers.
No, these are for you. I brought these for you specifically.
And I will put all the links for what Matt's doing, and then the link for that South Shore Bar Pizza Facebook page or whatever, so people can check it out. Because my mother always told me, like, you got to find something that, a passion that you can turn into your job. And I always joked, like, oh, I wonder how I can combine drumming and pizza. And this is the culmination of my idea. Whether we have a season 2 or not, we'll find out. But this is episode 1, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy Matt's drumming as we roll everything out. Have an awesome, what is today, Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
Have an awesome weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace. You guys.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to Drummers Eating Pizza, episode number 1. It's the first episode. I hope you liked it. We got plenty more guests coming up, a lot of local artists, some national artists that you're going to dig. Just stay tuned. Like, share, subscribe. See you in the next episode. Peace.